long trip for their last interleague series of the season against the Brewers. Michael Brantley has been red hot in August and gets to face his former team for the second time this year. Josh Tomlin picked up his first win of the season in the Bronx and makes another addition for a spot in next year's starting rotation. Next on Sports Time Ohio. The clouds have rolled into downtown Cleveland, cooling things off considerably on this, the 25th day of August. Drive back in town to open up a two-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Like the Indians, the Brewers got off to a disappointing start this year. So much so that Milwaukee decided around the trading deadline to trade off a number of their veteran players. 3 separate deals, sent 4 players elsewhere. They got 6 in return, all prospects, only one of which is currently on their big league roster.
Well, they did turn into sellers, and when you think about it, Mike Fiers, he pitched a no-hitter for the Astros on Friday night, which was unbelievable. So Houston loved that trade. They also got Carlos Gomez. He hasn't done much offensively, did throw a guy out at home plate last night. Murata Parra, who is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He's doing a pretty good job over there with Baltimore. And Ramirez was going to retire at the end of the year with the Brewers, so he is back over in Pittsburgh and helping them out.
Since the end of June, the Brewers actually have a winning record. So over the last couple of months, they've played pretty good baseball, though they have really struggled on the road. Josh Tomlin will get the start tonight for Cleveland. And, Rick, his last start out against the Yankees was one of the best we've seen from Josh.
Well, Josh is that type of pitcher. He has to stay on the edges of the plate. He had a tremendous cutter on the outside part of the plate to the left-handers. He uses 4 quadrants of the strike zone. He's got to elevate it, the fastball up. He can use that little cutter away. He'll throw a curveball. He'll use everything he can, but he is one guy that's one tough customer. He finally got the win in New York on 7 innings on 2 hits. He will be facing Willie Peralta today, who's having a little disappointing year, 4-7 and a 4.48 earned run average.
When we come back, Andre Knott joins us to talk about Michael Brantley squaring off against his old ball club, the Milwaukee Brewers. That's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio.
Honda dealers, by the Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough.
And we welcome you into Progressive Field, getting ready for tonight's game between the Indians and the Brewers. A reunion of sorts when you consider that Michael Brantley spent the first 4 years of his professional career in the Brewers organization before he came to Cleveland in the CC Sabathia deal, a trade that Brewers Media Guide calls the biggest trade in Brewers history. With more on Brantley's reunion with the Brew Crew, let's go down to Andre Knott.
It's funny that they call it the biggest trade in Brewers history because Michael Brantley says it's the biggest thing that happened in his career. And when we were back in Milwaukee back in July, he had the game-winning hit. He said that meant the world to him because Ed Sidar, the third base coach, and Mike Guerrero, the first base coach, were his managers in the minors. He says, look, where we're at in the year, I'll take anything to motivate me and get me going. He goes, I always want to show the Brewers what they've missed by not keeping me. He goes, it's not personal. He goes, I just want to be great every time I see the Milwaukee Brewers hat. And look at how Michael's played this month, hitting over 400 since August 3rd. And really, he says, with the time that he's had off, it's been able to help his back a little bit, and he feels like he's swinging it the best he's swung it all year. So it should be fun to watch him today and tomorrow versus this Brewers ball club.
It certainly does sound personal to me. Anytime you start with a ball club and you're traded to a different ball club, you know, you want to do good and play your best baseball against them. It's just human nature, and I don't blame you. Anything you can find motivation to do, you continue to do it.
And the Indians come into today's game with a mark of 58 and 66. They're only a half game behind Chicago for fourth place, a game behind Detroit for third place. So, Rick, when you talk about motivation, yeah, this isn't the playoffs we're talking about, but it's baby steps. If they can leapfrog a couple of teams, get to third place, you know, hey, there's still a lot of baseball to be played, and again, it's about improving and getting better.
Hey, look, we have a 5-game homestand here. They're off Thursday. They have the Angels coming in, you know, a Western Division team to finish up. We go to Toronto on the next road trip, and then after that, the 3-game series, we are in the Central the rest of the way until the last 3 games of the season against Boston. So you know what? Those are the teams you can concentrate on.
Yeah.
You get yourself ready for when you get back into the division, because what they've done this year, they're 18 and 31. They have to flip that totally around and turn it over, and then they can, that gives them something to shoot for. That's a motivating point, I would think.
When you look at the Indians' record, the 2 biggest disappointments, and one of them is just downright confounding, is the record in the division, which you just pointed out is woeful, and the 24 and 34 mark here at home.
Right. The 2 things that, we know going into the year, they know going into the year, you have to play well at home, you have to play well in your division if you want to do anything. They haven't done that, but now they're going to have to start. They're going to have to do it at least so they can have something to go on in the offseason.
And maybe they started to put it together because on that last homestand, they took 2 out of 3 from Minnesota. They took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. So you get some positive mojo working here at home. And look, it was a road trip that had a disappointing finish because of how yesterday ended at Wrigley Field. But all in all, not a bad road trip when you consider they lost 2 out of 3 in Minnesota, 2 out of 3 in Boston. To rebound against the Yankees the way they did. Played a very good Cubs team, tooth and nail all the way, but lost in the bottom of the 9th yesterday in Chicago. Tribe takes the field behind Josh Tomlin. And we'll take a look at Craig Counsell's starting lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers, brought to you by Toyota. Shane Peterson in the leadoff spot, followed by Jonathan Lucroy. Ryan Braun will DH in bat third. Adam Lynn, cleanup spot, playing first base. Chris Davis is on a home run tear. Look at that, 4 dingers in his last 4 games. Scooter Gennett batting 6th. Then it's Domingo Santana, Gene Segura, and Elian Herrera.
And tonight's Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher Josh Tomlin making his 3rd start, his very first start against the Milwaukee Brewers. He is 3-2 in his career and 6 career starts against the National League Central. So we'll see if he can get it rolling. 2-6 last year at Progressive Field. So we'll see. He pitched 2 games that he started for him. He's done a really nice job. Coming off a good start, 2-hitter in 7 innings in New York. He got the win. Minnesota gave up a couple of home runs, and that's all it was. But other than that, he pitched very well. Let's set the defense behind Josh tonight. It is brought to you by Jeep, and it looks like this. Brantley in left, Almonte in center, Chisenhall in right. Urshela at third, Lindor at short, Ramirez is at second, Santana at first, Gomes doing the catching.
Tim Timmons will call the balls and strikes tonight. Tim Welke, the crew chief, is at first base. Chris Segal is at second. Mike Everett down at third. Our window system's game time temperature. Welcome to autumn.
Yes, indeed.
Came a little early this year. 66 degrees.
You know, yesterday we were in Chicago. It was crystal clear. The wind was blowing, though, and it was a little chilly. But, boy, today is a dose of reality, isn't it?
First pitch in there for a strike from Josh Tomlin. Paints the outside corner quickly. The count is 0-2.
We remember this Brewer club back in Milwaukee. They are a very aggressive team. They like to get after it early in the count, so you got to make quality pitches on that first pitch.
Reached for it. Lindor cuts it off and throws him out one away. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Keep the Brew Crew in the park and hit with runners on base. The Indians offensively shut down yesterday in Chicago, and they're facing a Brewers club that has swinging the bats very well. Since June 23rd, this Milwaukee club averaging better than 4 runs a game. And in interleague play, Milwaukee has averaged the most home runs per game this year. That's kind of a weird stat because you can't hit a quarter of a home run. But when you take all the numbers and do the computations, Milwaukee has the best rate, home run rate in interleague play. Jonathan Lucroy doing the catching. Batting in the second spot. He missed a little over a month with a broken toe this year. Swing and a miss. And a ball and 2 strikes. And that was a crushing loss for this ball club because he is a key member for Milwaukee. And he was off to a really slow start. It was just 6 for 45 when he broke that toe back in April. So it's been a long climb for Lucroy just to get back to where he feels he should be offensively. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Since he came off the DL, which, as I said, was on May 31st, he's hit a respectable .259.
What a year he had last year. And anytime you have a leg issue, and he's a catcher.
That's hit hard, and it is deep, and it is not coming back. Jonathan Lucroy puts the Brew Crew on the board first. 1-0 Milwaukee. And that's something that they have done all season long, in particular in interleague play.
You just got done mentioning how good they are at doing that, and he picked on it. Looked like to me a Josh Tomlin cutter that was pretty much just sat right there, middle of the plate. We'll get a look. They wanted away, and it was a little cutter or a breaking ball that stayed middle of the plate. Lucroy took advantage of it. His 6th home run. The Brewers 112th on the year. They will play from in front. First inning home run here. Back in our home ballpark.
And he just homered 2 days ago off Jordan Zimmerman of the Nationals. So he's on a pretty good tear himself. Jeff Braun pops the first pitch out. I said Jeff Braun. Ryan Braun pops the first pitch out of play. You know what I must have been thinking of? And
that
who
was
knows?
His twin brother.
I might have been thinking of Jeff Zahn. Remember Jeff Zahn, the pitcher? I must have somehow had that stuck in my head.
The left-handed pitcher? I remember
Mets,
Jeff Zahn. He was Minnesota, too.
Uh-huh. Who knows?
Welcome home, Matty.
Here's the 1-1. Braun smashes it into center. And Milwaukee comes out swinging here in the first.
Well, you see, Gomes trying to put that target away, and it's leaking out over the plate. That's one thing he stayed away from in New York. He stayed out of the middle of the plate. He stayed on the edges. They already have as many hits as they had in 7 innings against him in New York.
Quick throw to first, and Braun back with a dive. Braun has 18 stolen bases on the year. He's only been caught 3 times. Here's Big Adam Lynn with 17 home runs this year. Tomlin keeping a close eye on Braun. A little bit outside. Ball 1.
Well, we've told you how good Tomlin is at controlling the running game. Braun has 18 stolen bases out of 21 attempts, so he's been very good. But Tomlin's a guy that pays attention to it. He's quick to home plate. He gives his catcher an opportunity.
Milwaukee brought Adam Lynn in to be a run producer, and that's exactly what he's done. Sometimes when you bat behind a hitter like Ryan Braun, there isn't much left to clean up, but he has. In fact, he tied the Milwaukee franchise record with an RBI in 9 straight games. George Scott, your buddy, did it in 1975.
Wow, the boomer.
Cecil Cooper, who you played with.
He got traded for Scott. He went from Coop went from Boston to Milwaukee, and Scott went from Milwaukee to Boston.
Coop did it in 1982, and then Carlos Lee, El Caballo, the former White Sox outfielder, he did it in 05.
All very good hitters.
Tomlin, with Braun at first and 1 out, delivers, and Lynn smokes it foul. Look out. Let's catch on the ricochet. Of course, as we've seen this year, if you're going to be a middle of the order hitter and you want to drive in runs, it helps to have guys on the bases.
Table setters, they make it easy for you. They give you opportunities throughout the course of the year, and that's why if you're going to hit in the middle and continue to hit in the middle of the lineup, you're going to have to drive them in. Milwaukee's offense, I mean, they were swinging it. They've got a nice ballpark to hit in.
Yeah.
Of course, we were only there for 2 games, but I'll tell you what, they swung it with authority when we were there. They were very aggressive. Council taking over shortly into the new year and has done a good job at this ball club, but they decided they have to sell.
2-2 pitch. Swah fouled back. Ron Renicky was fired, as you saw there. May 4th, Council, who was a special assistant in the front office, he took over.
Well, he grew up in Milwaukee. His dad worked for the Brewers in the 80s, worked into the front office, still lives there.
Yeah, Whitefish Bay.
Yeah, so it's like it's a natural. And was a good player for a long time on some pretty good teams.
He still looks like he could be.
Yeah.
He's got that.
Looks like a kid walking to the plate bringing his lineup card. Excuse me, Mr. Umpire. Milwaukee's a good baseball town.
2-2. Foul out of play, I do believe.
Yeah.
Yep, that will make it to the seats.
Say, he's battling them. He's fouling off some pitches. That was a little breaking ball away. For him to hit it in the air, it looks like right now in this first inning, Josh trying to find a way to get the ball down.
I mean, Josh has thrown 17 pitches. 12 of them have been strikes, but they're fouling everything off.
That's because they're elevated. Either that or they're just not enough off the pitches.
Adam Lynn got off to a great start this year with his new club. Player of the month in April for Milwaukee. And it's outside a full count. And Lynn was also the Brewers player of the month for June. Waiting on deck is Chris Davis, who we already told you he's on a home run binge of late. Braun's running, and the 3-2 pitch is hit in the air to left. Back is Brantley. He's got room. And makes the catch for out number 2. So that brings up Chris Davis. Four homers in his last 4 games. Here's the thing about Davis, and again, it's one of those head-scratching deals because of the disparity. He's hitting .293 at home, .157 on the road.
Well, it can't be, it shouldn't be that different.
Low and away, ball 1.
I mean, I could see enjoying your home ballpark, but that's a huge difference. He wasn't playing a whole lot when we went up there earlier. But then again, the trades that they have made.
Well, he did spend time on the DL. Missed all of June and first part of July at a torn meniscus. So 35 games in all. Maybe when we went up there, he was just working his way back in.
Yeah, exactly. And Gomez was in center field.
Outside, 2-0. Jonathan Lucroy with a solo homer here in the first. Ryan Braun followed with a single. The 2-0. Slowly tapped back to Tomlin. Fires to first to end the inning. But Jonathan Lucroy puts Milwaukee in front with a solo blast to the bleachers. The Indians are coming to bat. Progressive Insurance. Jason Kipnis will DH and lead it off. Then it's Francisco Lindor, followed by Michael Brantley, who sizzled against Milwaukee a month ago. Santana, Chisenhall, Gomes in the middle. Abraham Almonte, Giovanni Urshela, and Jose Ramirez rounded out.
And tonight's Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher is going to be Willie Peralta. Peralta is 26 years old. He's making his 15th start of the year. He spent some time on the disabled list. He was on the 15-day DL. Thought it was only going to be for 2 weeks. It ended up being for 2 months. He had a great year with him last year with 17 and 11. He was their most valuable pitcher. But, a different year this year. The little injuries. He's got a power sinker, a nice little slider to go with it. Not much of a changeup. When he's on his game, you're going to see a lot of ground balls.
Upstairs, ball one to Jason Kipnis. There's a fastball down on the zone for strike one to even the count. Jason, a .376 mark at home this year, which is the best home batting average in the American League. And that ball's hammered deep left center. Peterson on the move, can't get it. Short hops the wall and then bounces over his head. Kipnis stops at second with a leadoff double.
Well, Jason Kipnis, his 33rd double. And that's a patented Kip right there. This ball stays up. Gives him some swinging room. That sinker didn't sink. Kipnis took advantage of it. Drives it to left center field. So a good start for the Indians. That leadoff man on second. Lindor coming up. Wouldn't be surprised to see him bunting here. He's been swinging a hot bat, though, so I'd like to see him maybe try and get something that he can pull.
He squares and bunts it up the third baseline. Going to be a tough play for Herrera. And he just does get Lindor for out number one. And that gives Francisco his league-leading 10th sacrifice bunt.
Tell you what, this kid, he's a good bunter. You know, that's almost a perfect bunt for a base hit. He almost got the bonus. You can bunt and put it down like that. There's nothing wrong with doing that, boy. He gets Kipnis to third base, now gives Michael Brantley an opportunity.
Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Brantley and Kipnis among the league leaders in an odd category. They have 30 or more doubles, but fewer than 10 home runs. Used to call these guys gap-to-gap hitters. Not necessarily home run hitters, but guys who will pepper the park with extra base hits.
Love that. I'll take my doubles. You know, guys that can hit gap to gap, you stay on the ball, they hit for more average. And when they put an excellent swing on it, they get rewarded with a homer. It's nice to have the one big bopper in that lineup to complement these two guys, I'll say that.
Well, there aren't many players in the history of the game who had a season quite like Albert Bell when he had the 50 doubles and hit the 50 homers and hit for a high average.
Wow.
Usually something suffers.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Not that year for him.
It's funny you bring that up. It's his birthday today.
Happy
Albert
birthday,
Bell.
AB.
AB, we'll get you out of the way in the first inning. My goodness.
What is he, about 35 now?
Well, I'm not going to give any age. I know he's younger than me. And he's not to 50 yet, so you go ahead and take it what you want.
Brantley awaiting the 2-0. A little bit outside. 3 balls, no strikes. Carlos Santana waiting on deck. Since the All-Star break, Brantley has the second best American League batting average.
He has been on fire.
Called a strike, and it's 3-1. Peralta's 3-1 pitch. Brantley lays off. It's in the dirt. Ball 4. You know, there was a situation, too, where you saw Brantley almost chase after it. Still has the discipline to hold up, but we've seen him in RBI situations. He'll start to expand a little bit.
He will, to try and drive in, and I don't blame him. Let's set the Brewers defense. Brought to you by Jeep. It's Davis, Peterson, Santana. In the outfield, Herrera, Segura, Gannett, Lind on the infield. Lucroy doing the catching. Last in fielding percentage in the National League.
Now Carlos Santana. Santana gave the Indians some hope yesterday in the 9th inning. He was able to drive home the tying run and chase Chicago Cubs starter John Lester from the game. Outside, he missed with a changeup, ball 1. So a year ago on this date, Santana was hitting .228, 6 more homers, exactly the same number of RBIs.
Well, you call it consistency, but you certainly want more consistency than that if you're going to hit in the number 4 hole for a ball club.
That ball's hammered to deep right field, and it is off the wall. Scoring is Kipnis. Brantley to third, Santana into second with an RBI double, and the Indians have tied the game at 1.
Yeah, that ball jumped off the bat there. Santana gets his 61st RBI, his 22nd double. And back come the Indians. They answer. And they do it quickly. It's going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. Boy, a pitch down in the zone. And he loved it. All right, he short hops the wall. Comes bouncing back to Santana. He gets it in, not before Brantley gets to third. Kipnis scores. Second and third, and just 1 out.
Now Lonnie Chisenhall fouls one out of play. So after Milwaukee got a homer in the top of the first, the Indians come right back with a couple of hits to cash in the bottom of the first, and still threatening with only 1 out. Inside, he missed. It's 1-1. Boy, Rick, Peralta really falls off the mound when he delivers the pitch.
Well, he's all over the place right now, too, so he's very erratic.
Kia in the driver's seat shows you that during the month of August, 3 and 4, Chisenhall and Brantley sizzling. Good block by Lucroy. But unlike Brantley, Lonnie's sort of in a, I don't want to call it a platoon role, but that's essentially what it's been.
Yeah, he's not playing against left-handers for the most part, so it basically is. He's getting spot starts. He's getting a chance to go out there, and then later in a game, if he doesn't start against a lefty, he may pinch hit later in the game.
He's hit in 6 straight games, 8 for 16 during his tear. The 2-1. Missed inside, 3 balls and a strike.
He can't command the breaking ball, his slider. He hasn't been able to really locate his good sinker. So he's struggling right now to throw strikes. You've got to be patient and wait him out and make him get in the strike zone.
Out goes Lucroy. Well, it's good to see the Indians come out swinging early on, because that's right where you talk about picking up where you left off. The Indians had been swinging the bats well at home with at least 10 hits in 7 straight home games.
Right. Well, Peralta's a guy that has an ERA of over 5 in the first inning, so take advantage of him before he settles in.
That ball's hit to center field, and it's going to drop for a hit. Brantley scores. Santana stops at third. The throw all the way up the first baseline, and Chisenhall alertly scampers to second base, and immediately out comes the pitching coach, Rick Kranitz.
Boy, what kind of throw was that from center field on a base hit? You knew that Santana wasn't going to score, and his throw was way off line, and that allowed Chisenhall to go to second base. It's a basic ground ball. Just throw the ball to second base. You keep the double play in order. He comes over for cutoff. The first baseman does.
Do you think that had something to do with he's looking for a cutoff man? He doesn't see anybody, so he just
second base. Look at the guy standing at second base. Why throw it to the cutoff man? You've got to keep the one thing you have to do. You see, he read it. Chisenhall did a good job to read it. As an outfielder, you have to keep the double play in order for your pitcher, especially when you have a ground ball pitcher on the mound. Now, he may not be getting the ground ball, but what that does now, it forces them to bring their infield in with just one out.
Indians
and not a good play.
Have the lead now 2-1 as Yan Gomes steps in. Almost get the feeling that was a play where Peterson, you talk about the game speeding up on someone, like he just panicked. He didn't know what to do with it, and he just chucked it.
Hard to understand.
Yeah,
that doesn't go down in the books as an error, but it is. Because you gave a guy a base. Well, even though nobody dropped the ball, it was certainly a mistake throwing it in.
Well, you told us, though, how poorly they've been playing defensively.
Yes, they're last in the National League as far as fielding percentage goes.
Call to strike. It's 2-1.
One of the first breaking balls he's been able to throw for a strike. This is a guy, so as I mentioned, 17 wins last year. Came into camp a little overweight in spring training. Ended up hurting an oblique muscle. Thought he was going to come back and hurt the other side. I think a very humbling year for a guy.
To short, Segura with a nice stop, and he'll throw him out.
He could have tagged Chisenhall right there. What was Chisenhall doing?
2 down.
He got away with one there. They had him locked up because Santana froze. He wasn't coming home. Watch, he's running like it's a base hit. He was over halfway there. If Segura wanted it, he could have had him there. He'll take the one out at first base, and Gomes couldn't get the job done.
So with 2 away, Abraham Almonte the batter. And he shoots it foul.
Did someone catch that?
He sure did. He brought the glove.
I'm going to tell you, that was a line drive. He jumped up. That's a great play.
Some love for the glove right there.
Well, I didn't see it after it went up, and he jumps up, and boy, those people about 3 or 4 rows back ought to thank that guy. What a nice play.
I see a future fantasy camper.
Congrats. I think he was already there.
0-1
Taught
pitch.
him well.
He might get another one.
That may be an instant replay.
This guy in a red shirt made a nice leaping effort, but not quite tall enough.
Did he have a glove on?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you what, we've got
guy in the red have a glove on? Yeah, he's got the glove.
He sure does. It's just out of his reach. Boy, they came ready to go tonight. It's been a while since we've been here. They need a baseball.
Upstairs, 1-2. Swung on and missed, and that will end the inning. But the Indians come back with 2 in the bottom of the first to answer Milwaukee, and they lead it 2-1. second inning. Scooter Gennett to lead it off for Milwaukee. We'll see if Josh Tomlin can right the ship here in inning number 2. Gave up a home run and a single in the first. Worked out of any other further trouble. Gennett starting his 69th game this year at second base. It's kind of a tale of 2 seasons for Scooter Gennett. He was sent out on May the 18th because he was hitting a .154.
Yeah, that'll get you sent out.
Since he's been called back on June the 11th, he's hitting .296. Chases one here, and Tomlin gets his first strikeout, 1 away.
Well, we'll see if those 2 runs rejuvenated Josh Tomlin. He comes back with a good curveball. That's going to be our Circle K strikeout tonight. Strikeout number 1. You can see the good bite to that curveball. Hits right around home plate.
Here is Domingo Santana. Big swing and a miss by Santana. Santana was one of 4 players the Brew Crew got in the trade that sent Carlos Gomez and Mike Fiers to the Houston Astros. Santana began the year at AAA. He hit .320 at Fresno with 16 homers in 75 games. Did play in 14 games for the Astros this year. That's hit a ton. Deep right field. Chisenhall back. Goodbye.
Wow.
We're tied at 2 as Domingo Santana shows why Milwaukee went out and asked for him in that trade package with the Houston Astros.
Boy, you talk about some opposite field power. That ball had Chisenhall turn around. Second solo home run allowed by Tomlin tonight. And watch this. They wanted away. It came in again. That pitch right there has leaked back over the middle of the plate a couple of times tonight, and he has paid for it both times it has.
Well, it's 6'5", 2 1/4. He's a big dude and obviously has some legitimate power. You know, the Astros got him from Philadelphia. That was part of the Hunter Pence package. Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, it was 4 years ago. That was a post. No, that was right at the deadline, July 29th, when Houston and Philadelphia made that trade. That John Singleton also went from Philadelphia to Houston in that deal.
Huh.
But now Santana spun off here to the Milwaukee Brewers, and who knows, but obviously has some pretty good potential. Gene Segura. He swings and misses and chases one in the dirt and strikes out, 2 away. Today's injury report brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, and it's not good news. Carlos Carrasco will not start tomorrow. Cody Anderson will come off the DL and make that start in place of Carlos Carrasco, who's dealing with some shoulder soreness. And with the kind of year he's having, that's the last thing you want to see. Let's go down to Andre Nadu, who has some more on Carrasco.
He also has a little bursitis in that shoulder. They MRI'd it this morning, and everything looks good. The doctors are going to look at it tonight after the game. There's a chance he could be put on the DL, but as you said, we'll see Cody tomorrow, who was scratched in his start yesterday down in Lake County. For the most part, Carrasco says everything feels fine. He was just a little bit more sore than usual after his start in New York, so it's better to be safe than sound at this point in time.
So, Andre, basically with the September 1st, literally right around the corner.
Yep.
They could maybe just bump him back a start or
Yes.
maybe two.
If he doesn't need an injection of cortisone after the game, that's basically what will happen. They'll bump him back. They won't have to put him anywhere. And as you said, the rosters will expand in September 1, and it'll be no problem. They also wanted to see Cody. The other thing about this, they said, look, Cody's up against it, inning-wise. They didn't want to use up all of his innings in the minors anyway. So this kind of works twofold to get Cody Anderson back and to take care of Carrasco at the same time.
All right, we'll see how that all plays out. Meanwhile, Elian Herrera fouls one back to the screen in a full count. 2 solo homers for Milwaukee, one by Jonathan Lucroy in the first, one by Domingo Santana here in the second. Tie ball game. Foul back. And a 3-2 is pop foul, and that will get out of play.
They're fouling off a lot of pitches, making Tomlin work very hard first time through. They're 3 for 8 with the 2 long balls.
Herrera's had one of those kind of seasons that, we've seen from time to time with players. He was, non-roster invite, made the club, got on the club, designated for assignment at one point, cleared, came back to the club. That's almost like living out of a suitcase as a player, isn't it?
It really is, and it happens to some players. They've been called up and down 3, 4, 5 times throughout the course of the year, when they're using up that option that they have on some players. That's 11 foul balls now against Tomlin.
Check to swing. He went too far, says Tim Timmons, and Josh Tomlin strikes out 3 in the second. But Domingo Santana sends one to the cheap seats. And we're tied at 2.
Alive and well. The cheesehead. It's a beautiful thing.
Now, where did you find your original cheesehead?
Boy, we picked it up at a store. Tony Miggs and I, who's a former clubhouse guy, or he's still over there with the Brewers. Yeah. That was back in the 80s, 83, 84. One of the original cheeseheads. Sometimes when you're not playing, you have to do something to kill some time.
So you brought a little life to the party by bringing the cheesehead out.
Yes, indeed.
Out of play to the right. And was that Rene Latchman? Who was the manager?
Yeah, he was there then 1984.
He was okay with that?
What's he going to say? He was fine. It's all in good fun.
Chopper to short. Segura flips it over, throws it away. Lynn came off the bag and tried to apply the tag, but couldn't quite do it.
Well,
and so Urshela's aboard on an error one way or the other. I don't know who they'll charge it to. I think Segura, though.
I think you're right. This one will be an error. And it's a routine play. I don't know if he had it cleanly coming out of his glove. Watch and see if he gets it in his hand. He throws it, but way off line, and Lind has to come off at first base, and he didn't catch it. So just that, to me, is lack of concentration. He had it. He's going to throw it. And then sidearm, and, it wasn't that bad of a throw if Lind just stays on the base. Even if he doesn't, he should catch it.
I also wonder if perhaps Gene Segura is hearing footsteps because he's not having a stellar season, and his days may be numbered because Oswaldo Arcia from the Minnesota Twins, his younger brother is one of the best prospects in the Brewers system right now, and he is a hot shot shortstop who might get a September call-up, or at the very least will go to spring training with a chance to be their shortstop next year.
That's Segura's 15th error on the year.
Arcia is only 21 years old. He's a lot like Lindor, young kid that's making a hard push.
Boy, there's a lot of good young players coming up to the big leagues right now. Some great third basemen in baseball. I mean, young third basemen.
Well, Baseball America does a great job of ranking prospects throughout baseball.
Right.
Orlando Arcia was 94th in the preseason rankings. As of August, he's number 8.
It's amazing what 1 year will do when you come out as a kid, isn't it? He'll open some eyes and, probably sometimes it takes, you say he's 21.
Yeah.
So
there's a smash to second. It's kicked away by Jeanette, and Segura can't get to it in time. Urshela's safe at second, and on back-to-back defensive miscues, the Indians have the makings of a rally.
Well, this ball was hit hard, but not hard enough to where Gannett can't field it, and it's a double play ball. Not only once, then he kicks it over. Segura has it, fumbles it, went to pick it up and step on the base. He stepped on Gannett's foot. So this is ugly looking right now. So far in the first couple innings of this ball game, I'm surprised it's a tie game the way they're playing defense. So another error. That is the 92nd error for Milwaukee.
And Craig Counsell's coming out. He looks like he might want to challenge, huh?
Well,
it looked like he stepped on Jeanette's foot, but maybe Segura did get. No, he's going to the mound to talk to his pitcher.
Yeah, with the
thought
trainer.
Maybe he was thinking about a.
No, he's going out there with the trainer. He's got to talk to his manager and make sure he's okay. And he had to look him in the eye and say, "I'm fine." Well, he'll be fine if his defense can make a few plays because they've been terrible in the first two innings. So the door is open now for the Indians. Nobody out. They've let the first two guys on base via the error, and we're right back up to the top of the lineup again.
Jason Kipnis takes a good breaking ball in there for a strike.
You know, the last thing you want to try and do is try and strike everybody out if you're a pitcher. And we've seen that happen before where defenses have been very poor and pitchers try and do more than they're capable of doing. But this, Willie Peralta is the ace of this staff. They expect him to be the number one guy. to move on like he was last year. They've got a couple to follow. But he has been all over the place tonight. He has thrown more balls than strikes. 37 pitches, 20 of them have been balls. So he's, this guy's would be tough to hit because he's inconsistent. He has been with everything.
Kipnis shoots one deep left. Is it fair? It is. Fair ball in the corner. Urshela scores. Ramirez stops at third. It's an RBI double for Jason Kipnis. He's 2 for 2 with 2 doubles, and the Indians lead it 3-2.
Well, they take advantage of the errors. Kipnis, nice job of staying on that ball. First double was in left center field. This one going down the line. This one was down a little more, going away. It was his good sinker that Jason was able to keep fair. So back on top come the Indians. It's 3-2. Their third double in the game. Still nobody out. Runners at second and third.
Now Francisco Lindor, who laid down a sacrifice bunt his first time up. He's got a chance to inflict some damage now. Upstairs almost to the backstop. I read a note in a Milwaukee media guide, Rick. It says that in the offseason, Willie Peralta plays slow pitch softball with Bartolo Colon and Nelson Cruz.
Where do they go eat after the game? That's what I want to know. If he came into camp overweight. Well, he's won his last 2 starts, Matt, and he's received 7.5 of run support. So that has certainly helped him. He's given up 6 earned runs. He's already given up 3. This inning is not his fault, at least to this point.
Liner to left, scores Ramirez. Kipnis stops at third. 4-2 Cleveland. They've scored 2 in each of the first 2 innings tonight.
So both the mistakes made by the defense have come around to score. And that was a nice job by Lindor to stay on the baseball and take it the other way. A sinker ball pitcher. Look at that. Pitch his mid-thigh. That's a good swing. Stay on it. He does. He is 1 for 1. Drives in his 28th run. It is now 4-2.
Now Lindor is now 15 for 50 with runners in scoring position. As Kyle Loesch begins to warm up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Upstairs. Kyle Loesch started a game. In fact, he took the loss back on July 22nd against Cleveland back in Milwaukee, but he's been moved to the bullpen, and he may be coming into this game rather quickly.
Yeah,
it's deteriorating in a hurry on Peralta. Again, another pitch that nearly went to the backstop.
But it just looks like he has no feel. You know, because it's everywhere. He's had 5 2-0 counts in this game.
He's throwing more balls than strikes.
Hitter. Yeah.
Bouncer to first, caught fair by Lynn. Now he's going to come home, and Kipnis is caught in a rundown. Kipnis going to try to dash for the dish, and he'll be tagged out. 2 away.
Now, sort of a mistake there by Kipnis coming in because it was right at Lind at first base. He had 2 ways to go. If Kipnis was off and running, he could go straight home with it. He didn't. He touched first and then decided to come home, and Kipnis continued. He should have just stayed at third base, and it would have been second and third with the 1 out. Instead, he kept coming, gets in the rundown, and is tagged out by the pitcher. So a double play. And the Indians have been hitting into their share. This is a weird one, though.
Ball 1 down low to Santana. Runner at third with 2 outs, and the 1-0 pitch is a little bit low. No, a called strike. Santana now has 9 hits in his last 43 at-bats, during which time he has 7 runs batted in and 7 runs scored. As Peralta is ahead of a hitter for one of the few times tonight.
Boy, it seems like the first time tonight. It hasn't been many.
Three on the right side of the infield for Milwaukee. Lindor is at third, where Herrera keeps an eye on him. Popped it up, foul ground, and out of play. Santana, probably because he leads the league in walks, not surprisingly, also #1 in pitches per plate, or he's fourth in pitches per plate appearances, just over 4, and this will be the 5th here. A little bit high and a full count.
Well, this guy has only had 2 strikes on 2 of the 13 batters he has faced.
"50 pitches already thrown by Peralta, and the payoff to Santana is hit to center, but playable there for Peterson, and the inning is over. The Indians take advantage of 2 errors and turn them into 2 runs thanks to Kipnis and Lindor. 4-2 Cleveland.
In that play, it was 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, and he ran. If you remember, in New York there was a 1st and 3rd situation, and he stayed at third base and didn't go, and they still got a double play, and he was left at or they didn't get the double play, but he was left at third.
Almonte with a terrific running catch. He ran so far I don't think he had any idea where he was at on the field.
He did. You see him reaching for the wall?
Exactly.
That's what the warning track is for. I mean, watch him. As he gets back there, he's searching and feeling for the wall. He never took his eye off the ball. Look at him feel. See, he thought he was going to hit it, and he was just getting to the warning track. That is where the warning track is your friend. You feel it, the difference of going from that grass to the dirt. Then you look for the wall or feel for it.
You just don't trust it, though. Your mind's saying, "Oh, there's got to be a wall coming up here soon."
Then you have to take your eye off the ball to see where you're at on the field when you're going back. See, he'd be better off if he plays a little bit deeper, where he knows where he's going to be located, and if you have to, you break in on everything if you're feeling for the wall like that.
Jonathan Lucroy homered his first time up.
Take a different. Now watch. He feels it. He's got the arm out. Now he really feels it.
He really thought the wall was going to be right
there.
there.
Sure he did. And he was just getting to the warning track, and you have about 15 feet once you get there.
How much of that is getting used to your new environment,
too?
That's
very true. You have to get used to it. But you know what? He should be out there taking fungos every day and getting balls hit over his head until he can go back and take his eye off the ball and feel the warning track.
And a strike call, 3-1.
It's a good pitch away on the outside edge.
Perfect pitch. Lucroy, obviously, he didn't want to swing at it, and he was asking home plate umpire Tim Timmons.
That was a good pitcher's pitch. Yeah, as a hitter, with the count in your favor, you certainly do not want to swing at that.
Payoff pitch. Nice catch at third by Urshela. 2 gone. Good quick reaction by Urshela.
Well, watch this. This one sneaks back over the plate on the 3-2, and Urshela has to be on his toes, ready to go. This one was hit right on the nose. Line drive. Hot potato, get rid of it.
2 down for Ryan Braun. No relation to Jeff?
I thought they were brothers. Oh, that was good.
You know the worst part of it was? I wrote it down on my scorecard.
Then that's why you called him Jeff.
What in the world? The 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed.
I think that was Tommy's fault. He sent it down that way to you in the lineup.
High pop left field. Brantley makes the catch, and on 10 pitches, Josh Tomlin breezes through the third, 4-2 Cleveland. Just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bottom of the third, and the Indians have a 4-2 lead. Lonnie Chisenhall to lead it off. Drove in a run with a base hit in the first. Takes outside ball one. Threw it by him.
Get it down, Chiz. He's a low ball hitter. He got one above his zone right there.
Missed inside. High pop-up. Foul territory. Maybe playable here. Herrera makes the grab. One away. So that play that we talked about last inning with Abraham Almonte, listen to Brad Mills back in spring training talking about taking your eye off the ball to find out where you're at on the field.
Well, number one, you're going to get to the spot quicker because now you're going to put your head down and you're going to run. And when you do that, you want to run like this. We don't want to see guys running like this with their hand up in the air. And you will see that from in occasion. Guys will kind of run like this and they're not going to be able to get to that spot. The hard thing to teach guys in spring training is to do just what you just said. Take your eye off the ball. And the reason is you have such a high sky and the sun is out there. Man, you take your eye off the bat. You just standing out here in batting practice. You take your eye off the ball, you can't find it when you turn back around. So when we get during the season, a lot of times, when that ball gets above the lights, it's a lot easier for guys to take off running, turn back around, they can look above the lights and see it. And that just goes from experience, knowing exactly where you are on the field.
And when you come to Major League Parks and you have that second and third deck like they have here, it's easier to take your eye off the ball because you can turn around and you'll pick it back up again. You have to trust that. And we saw him taking off. Not only that, but it also squares your shoulders and your hips up when you're running in a straight line. So that first step, when you can turn, get square and take off and look at the wall and then turn back and look up. He's putting his opposite hand out to feel. See, he never took his eye off the ball. He had plenty of time to do that. So that's something he has to work on, going back on a ball and taking your eye off.
All right, the question I have on the 2-2 pitch to Gomes is, ideally, do you want him looking for the wall as he's running, or
once you read the ball off the bat, you break and you take your first 2 or 3 steps down.
Gotcha.
And then look back up, and you can make your adjustment then. You'll see what the ball's going to do because you'll be surprised how quick you can get to that baseball if you break early and run a good route.
Yan Gomes with an opposite field single with one out here in the third. Let's bring in Andre.
I have a question, too.
What's that?
For a center fielder or any outfielder, how about a guy that hasn't played in this park very much? I mean, for Almonte, he's played about 18 different parks in the last 18 days.
I understand that, but that's where you get your work in prior to the game, and you go take fungos and you take balls off the bat during batting practices where you can get some work in. And it does take a little while, but, I mean, you should be able to take your eye off the ball, period, no matter what park you're in.
But the key is ball off the bat, head down, run, then find the ball.
Yes. Not everybody can do that.
Upstairs with it.
If you're a center fielder, you have to do that. You have to be able to take your eye off the ball and get to a spot, before you look back or you look up. You have to do that if you're going to cover the ground. That's the most ground you have to cover is in center.
Or, as you said, you play deeper.
You play deeper.
Which I know you love. That's your favorite thing to see. Pop to left. And Davis will make the catch, 2 away.
There's nothing wrong with playing deeper. One of the best center fielders going today plays with Tampa. Kiermaier plays a very deep center field. But, he can cover the ground and he can go alley to alley. Not everybody can play shallow and go back and take their eye off the ball. So if that's the case, then you have to play deeper, but you better not let those balls fall in front of you like that because you should be running in.
Giovanni Urshela. Reached on an error in the second and came around to score. Up and in, buzzed him.
No, it wasn't as bad as it looked. You know, he wasn't looking up and in right there, but it wasn't that bad. It's a normal up and in pitch.
Sends one high in the air, first base side, and Lynn can't get to it.
That's Chris. It's going for him again over there. It finds him. It doesn't matter. First base camera. I'll watch this. Where's Chris? Look at, there he is with the camera, getting it out of the way. He was trying to let the camera. Chris, you got to take it first. You got to protect your camera.
Take one for the team.
No doubt. He was showing his pictures today about back when he was working with a radio station back in the day.
The 1-1 pitch. There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, we love you, man. He came in and tried to show Gary a picture he had when he worked for his
radio
station. Yeah, he had long hair and a beard.
Is he a DJ?
I don't know.
Rocking around the clock. Chris Madden.
Wolfman Madden.
Fouled back by Urshela. And the count is 2-2. Willie Peralta signed with the Brewers when he was just 16 years old out of the Dominican Republic. Like a lot of the young players that come out of the Dominican, he grew up incredibly poor. He didn't even have a baseball glove till he was 11 years old. And up until that point, he practiced throwing with lemons. I mean, imagine that's the best thing you can come up with. That's all you got. But if you have a dream and you love the game, you do whatever you have to do.
Right. Lemons, grab some sugar cane, use it as a bat. You do whatever you have to do. Wasn't Omar a milk carton that he made a glove out of?
Yeah. 2-2 in the dirt, full count. Of course, when you're a kid, anything that you can throw, you'll throw.
Yeah, that's true.
Rocks.
Rocks, that's the first thing that popped into my mind.
Crab apples. The 3-2 with the runner going is low, ball 4, and Peralta. It's only the second walk he's issued, but he's had a lot of command issues, and Craig Counsell may have seen enough.
I'm sure he has. He has been all over the place tonight. He can't watch it there. He's going to come and replace him. Kyle Loesch is coming into this ball game after 2 2/3 innings.
Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made by Counsell, and Kyle Loesch will be coming on for Milwaukee. When we come back, it's the Indians 4 and the Brewers 2. We're in the third inning here in Cleveland.
baseball season long with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
So Kyle Loesch coming on for Milwaukee. Loesch pitched Friday in Washington. Picked up his first big league save. First professional save, for that matter. Pitched 3 innings. Gave up 1 run. Walked 2, struck out 4.
Yeah, he was having a problem this year starting, giving up the long ball in his 22 starts.
Including the minors, he went 563 appearances before his first relief outing.
Sure. Yeah, I remember him coming up in Minnesota.
I'm sorry, before he got his first save. He did have 29 career bullpen appearances, but 563 appearances professionally before he got his first save.
And Loesch is the kind of guy like Tomlin. You got to stay on the edges, changing speeds, trying to keep the hitters off balance. You make a mistake, they can hurt you.
That was called a strike, and it's 1-2.
You know, as we talk about throughout the course of the year, it's much easier when you put a starter into that bullpen than it is trying to make a bullpen guy a starter going through the year. After he had 22 starts, you don't have to worry about him.
Hard smash to second. This time Jeanette stays with it, and the inning is over. No runs, a hit, 2 men left. After 3, it's 4-2 Cleveland.
Design t-shirt courtesy of Toyota. That'll take place tomorrow night. We'll wrap up this 2-game series with the Brewers. And the Tribe Town shirt was designed by a fan in an online contest earlier this season. So visit Indians.com for your tickets.
First ball swinging. Adam Lynn lifts one to center field. 1 away. Time now for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt, Rick, let's head up to Detroit where the Angels are taking on the Tigers. First inning, Albert Pujols, you can tell by the stare. That's gone. 3-run homer, his 34th of the year. Angels took a 4-0 lead. They now lead at 6-4 over the Tigers. Guys?
All right, thanks, Al. Boy, the Tigers are scuffling right now. They have lost 4 in a row, and their pitching is just falling down all over them. A strike call to Chris Davis.
That'll catch up to you. But you know, they did score. They came back in that game. They're 6-4. That's Alfredo Simon, who was coming off a one-hitter.
Wow, Chris Davis trying to drill one out of here.
He did, but it was foul.
It's foul, but man, you can see that's the home run swing that he's been using of late.
Oh, on a big curveball. Boy, he stayed back. His eyes got wide open. And he put a healthy cut. That was like a softball swing there.
Try to go upstairs with a high heater. One ball, 2 strikes. Off the end of the bat, foul territory. Nobody can get to it. White Sox, Red Sox, scoreless in the second in Chicago. White Sox directly ahead of the Indians by a half game in the AL Central. Detroit 1 game in front of Cleveland. 1-2 pitch. Popped him up. Is this playable?
I think
Santana can't get to it. Boy, the ball boy took the chair and ran right into the center of the triangle there.
Willie taught him well. You grab your seat and go right to where the first baseman is so you can't catch it. Nice job, Willie.
I mean, he's got Santana coming at him, Gomes behind him, and Tomlin coming from his. Watch the.
There he goes.
He ends up right in the middle of everything.
Perfect, and he knows it. What do I do now?
Oh, no. Thank goodness it wasn't.
That's
right.
like 3 big boys coming on you. You don't know what to do. Willie, in charge of that clubhouse over there for the Brewers, does a nice job with his boys. Yes, he did.
And Tomlin gets the strikeout. That's his 4th.
He knew it. He started to check it. He started walking before he was even going to look back.
There are 2 down, and Scooter Gennett fouls one back out of play. "60 pitches into the night." Josh Tomlin has thrown 41 strikes. And that's low and away, 1-1. Grounded to second base. Ramirez throws him out. They go 1-2-3. It's 4-2 Cleveland. The hashtag STO Data Strong Fan for a chance to have one of your pictures shown in an upcoming telecast. It's all courtesy of T-Mobile. We go to the top of the order, and Jason Kipnis, who is 2 for 2, 2 doubles, an RBI and a run scored. Kyle Loesch delivers down low, ball 1.
Got to send along our congratulations to Michael and Fran Grogan celebrating their 50th anniversary. Big Tribe fans live in Fort Myers. Watch all the games on Sports Time. So congratulations, Michael and Fran.
They here tonight?
I think Michael is. They met at the old ballpark 51 years ago. So why wouldn't you be an Indians fan? You meet your wife at a ball game. Very nice.
Three and 1 to count on Kipnis. Kyle Loesch came out of the bullpen to get the last out of the third inning. And a strike called. It was a low strike, full count. If this is strike 3, Kipnis has got a legitimate beef.
Yeah, sure does. Well,
pulls it foul.
Stayed with that changeup, I think, and kept it probably pretty much the same spot. Forces you to swing at it.
Absolutely. And that's fouled right back. And all of a sudden, this will be the 8th pitch coming up of the at-bat. Upstairs, he misses. Ball 4, and the Indians have their leadoff man aboard for the 3rd time in 4 innings. Grab some friends, catch a game at the new Corner Bar. It's open to all fans at Progressive Field. $13 district tickets presented by Sports Time Ohio are available only at Indians.com/district ticket. The Indians have seen 9 consecutive first pitch balls. Brewer pitchers falling behind all night long, and there's another one. Francisco Lindor, a sacrifice bunt in the first, an RBI single in the second. A little bit. No, it did catch the corner. Maybe it was outside. 1-1.
Take a look at this Nissan pitch tracker going away. Wow. You talk about generous. My goodness. That looked like it was 6 inches outside.
Well, and if you're Kyle Loesch, being a veteran, you say, if he calls that, I'm going right back out there again.
Why wouldn't you? See how consistent he's going to stay with it.
Lindor got him back in Milwaukee. That's outside. 2-2. And that's strike 3 called. Strike zone seemed a bit liberal in that at bat.
Well, this one had plate. That was not bad. It was not nearly as bad as the one that he called outside. He's been calling the low strike, so that one was at the knees, in the low part of the knees, but he called it. At least it had plate.
So Michael Brantley steps in. Brantley grounded out in the second inning, and it turned into a double play. Hit off the end of the bat, and that's starting to come back.
Yeah, it is. You got to start running.
He did, but it was finally picked up by Herrera for a foul ball. Watch off the end of the bat. Watch the spin this thing takes.
Yeah, and it was in the grass. Look at that. That's English right there.
That's a straight pool cue.
Yes, it is. Marseille, boom. Had the spin, started to come back in the grass. Here it comes. That ball might have been cut. You never know.
Inside, he missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kyle Loesch was originally drafted by the Chicago Cubs in 1996, traded to Minnesota in 99 in the Rick Aguilera deal. Made his big league debut 2 years after that in 01. And he is now one of only 15 pitchers to defeat all 30 current major league teams. That speaks of longevity. And
yes, he has been around a long time. A good pitcher.
You know, you think about Indians don't play the Brewers all that often, so you don't get opportunities to see everybody. So when you do, you better win. And then you think about this: 2 games there, 2 games here. So for a 5-man rotation as a starting pitcher, it's got to fall so that you get the chance to face everybody.
Well, when you play with a number of different teams and you go to both leagues,
that helps.
Yes, it sure does.
Yeah, he spent time in the National League quite a bit. After his days with Minnesota,
Cardinals,
St.
Reds.
Louis, yeah.
Come up with the Twins.
Brantley fouls it back. Milwaukee was, they were an American League team. They were an Indians rival for many, many years. Even came to the Central Division when baseball realigned in 1994 with the Cleveland. But then in 1998, they made the switch to the National League, which for the old-time fans in Milwaukee was probably great. Brantley sends a drive to deep right field. Santana back. He's out of room. It's out of here. Michael Brantley with his 10th home run of the year. And a 2-run shot makes it a 6-2 Indians lead. Brantley now 10 homers and 70 runs batted in on the year.
He got up on that one and drove it to right center field. Gave him a little too much swinging room. Loesch gives up his 27th home run. It's a 2-runner to Michael Brantley, who hits his 10th.
Got a nice little book on Kyle Loesch.
Boy, I'll say.
So
doesn't
the
throw
Indians
hard enough to get that fastball by him anymore, and he waited back on it.
Santana swing and a miss. He's down on strikes. Second K for Kyle Loesch. 2 down in the inning.
Well, it's a triple play Friday night. The Tribe will host the Angels. Fans can enjoy $2 pregame beer in the district, dollar dogs, and a postgame fireworks show presented by Wayside Furniture. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
And a ground ball to second. Jeanette throws him out, and the inning is over. But Michael Brantley tees off a 2-run homer. 6-2 Cleveland. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. Six-2 now in favor of the Tribe. Go to the 5th inning. Domingo Santana to lead it off. He homered his only time up. An opposite field shot to right field. Santana just turned 23 years old. Broke his bat. And Jose Ramirez throws him out, one away. Our great clip of the game from yesterday at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Corey Kluber, another sensational performance. Struck out 11 Cubs batters.
Well, he had it all working. He was perfect through 5. Had the strikeout ball working, and that got the pitch count up a little bit, but he still, what a game.
But just another frustrating performance in which no offensive support for him. 2 down as Segura lines it out to Brantley in left field. talk about in basketball players when shooters get in the zone filling it up. Since the Domingo Santana home run in the second inning, Josh Tomlin threw 23 out of his next 33 pitches for strikes coming into this inning.
Well, they got him a few runs early, and they responded in the first 2 innings. You know, when the Brewers hit one out of the ballpark, the offense came right back, and so it was time he started to settle in.
Low strike, 1-1. Elian Herrera. Good. Curveball drops in. And he strikes him out looking with a breaking ball over the outside corner. 1, 2, 3 go the Brew Crew. Tomlin has retired 11 in a row. That's a 1,100 mile, 1,170 miles to see the Tribe. Well, they have been disappointed to this point. 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 more in the fourth. They're up 6-2, and Yan Gomes leads it off against Kyle Loesch. Gomes, an opposite field single to right field, his last time up.
That's where Loesch tries to get his fastballs. He'll spot them away, try and make a perfect pitch, and then attack you with the off-speed pitch, a changeup down. He has to stay out of the middle of the plate. Tried to shoot for the outside corner with 2 strikes.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Out of play to the right. That's hit deep right, slicing foul. You don't stay around as long as Kyle Loesch has without having the. Obviously, there's a lot of hard work. Don't want to undermine that at all, but good fortune to stay healthy. One hopper to short
there.
And Gomes is out, number 1. In-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Indians jumped him into first. Willie Peralta had some issues. Lonnie Chisenhall's RBI single made it 2-1 Cleveland after a solo homer by Milwaukee in the top half of the first. They kept coming in the second inning. Back-to-back RBI hits. Kipnis and Lindor made it 4-2. And then Michael Brantley's 2-run homer in the fourth. And it's 6-2. And now Almonte drives one deep left center field. That is off the top of the fence. And Almonte hits second. He's going to go to third. The ball got by Peterson on the ricochet. It's a triple for Almonte, his third on the year.
Well, he didn't hesitate, boy. I like the way he came out of the batter's box. That didn't miss by much by going out of here to left center field. He hit that ball a long way. It hit under that line by a foot or two and came ricocheting, but he was running all the way. That fastball running away, he stayed on beautifully. It hits high off the wall, gets by Peterson. Now that's his mistake, and probably not from playing here, because it comes down and goes over his head. Enables Almonte to get to third base.
Milwaukee brings the infield in. Urshela at the plate and swings through it. You know, we saw it early on with Almonte. Not a big guy, but you give him swinging room and the ability to extend the bat, and he got a little power there.
He likes getting after the fastball. That's one thing for sure. We noticed that from day one.
2-strike pitch.
Yeah, that was not a good at-bat there. Urshela, 3 pitches. Change-up, fastball, and fastball, and he goes walking back, can't get the job done.
Third strikeout for Loesch. Let's go down to Andre with more on Almonte.
You know, something that Ty Van Berkeley, the Tribe's hitting coach, has told me that he loves about Almonte is his hands and how strong his wrists are and how he lets the ball get deep into the plate and he can still attack. He says with those type of hands, he can wait longer to find out what the pitch it is, and he loves being able to work with him right now because he thinks this kid could be special if he keeps working with him.
Well, he likes the heater. He can hit it. You teach him to lay off certain pitches and breaking balls and stay back on some, he'll be fine if he lets the ball track deep.
Ramirez takes low, 2-0.
That'll help you with pitchers like Kyle Loesch. You can't throw it past you. You know, they have to use their finesse to get it by you. There's so many guys we see now that throw in the mid-90s, you know. Guys that know how to pitch, they can make you look silly at times.
3-0 the count for Ramirez.
Ramirez has hit the ball on the nose twice. Right at Gannett both times, and I'm telling you, the first time he made an error, the second time he hurt him with it.
(3-1). And that's ball 4. Sports Time Ohio's coverage of the high school football season kicks off this Friday night. Brunswick and Highland will open the Hornets' new stadium. Jeff Phelps, Frank Stams, Ryan Cavanaugh. It's game 1 on the road to glory, Friday at 11, right here on Sports Time Ohio.
It's that time of year again, high school football, huh?
Yeah.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
It does, especially the way it feels tonight.
Yeah, it feels like it.
That's great for the folks down in Highland. They've had a heck of a program last few years. And, brand new stadium. They were in the playoffs. Boy, my mind is going. It was either last year or the year before, and their field was so chewed up they had to move a home playoff game to a neutral site. It was last year.
Well, I bet they're looking forward to it. New ballpark, on new stadium. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure the kids are looking forward to it.
First and third, 2 down. 0-1 pitch to Kipnis. Line drive, base hit, right field. Kip with a 2-out RBI single brings home Almonte. 7-2 Indians. And that's a third hit of the night for Jason Kipnis.
Another 3-hit night. That's 17 for him, I believe. He stayed back, and I think he had to be looking for this changeup. But tonight, his first 2 at-bats got on sinkers and took him the other way for 2 doubles. This one right down the line. And now, for the 17th time this year, he's going to get his 3rd hit of a ball game after a walk. So he's been on all 4 times. That's a nice job of hitting right there.
He went down and got that,
That
baby.
was a changeup. He had to be looking for it. And that's a big 2-out hit to drive in a run. Give the Indians 7 now.
Lindor smokes one by Lynn down the right field line. Santana to cut it off, but not before Ramirez comes home to score. Kipnis stopped at third. Throw gets by the cutoff man. He scores. Lindor dives for third. He's out to end the inning. Fast and furious, the action here at Progressive Field. But the Indians scored twice here in the 5th. It's the 4th time tonight they've had a 2-run inning. The bottom of the 5th. It's going to be a double for Lindor. The throw goes to nobody in particular.
Well,
it goes all the way to the third base area.
That's a great play at third base by Herrera to get back and get the out. That's smart. He's going to take off thinking no one's covering. Herrera got the ball and beat him to the bag. But the throw from right field, Santana, they're lined up, man on first base, ball down the line for home plate. And he threw it wide.
Always get nervous when 2 guys both go head first into a bag.
Well, he didn't try and reach back or do anything crazy.
So it ends up being a 3-run 5th for the Indians. 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the 4th, and then 3 in the 5th.
Here you go. Another 10 hits on the board for the Tribe for the 8th time, right? In their last 8 home games. They've been going, yeah.
It's, man. It's 8 games?
Yes.
Ground ball to second base.
Yeah, got him to roll over on the curveball.
12 in a row retired by Tomlin. Jonathan Lucroy, who is 1 for 2 with a solo homer in the first. Take a look at our player profile brought to you by Levin Furniture. Out of Florida, went to Louisiana Lafayette. 3rd round pick back in 07. Last year an all-star and 53 doubles. This year, though, I mentioned the fractured toe on the foul ball that he hit back in April, and it just kind of derailed his season. That's hammered down the left field line. That's going to the wall. Lucroy around first. He'll head to second. Look out. Here comes Brantley's throw. It's a little bit offline, and he dives in there safely.
Yeah, Michael looks like he's upset with himself. He knows if he makes a good throw, he has him. But it was offline. Sometimes you try and make a perfect throw, knowing he got there quickly enough to make a good throw. You have him. He plays that wall very well out there as far as running the angles, playing it off the wall, barehanded it. It's just it was offline. And I saw him out there. He was sort of upset with himself, talking to himself. But it'll go as a double.
I mean, that's a ball where if you're Lucroy, you don't play here that often. You're thinking, oh, that's a double.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he's probably halfway to second looking up going, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right. I better get going. But that's okay. It was, you think double out of the box.
Ryan Braun, a single in the first, fly to left in the third. Swung on and missed.
Nice changeup. Very aggressive. He thought it was a fastball coming. He got out after it and just didn't get there.
Tomlin with the 0-1. Breaking ball swung on and missed. It's 0-2. Josh Tomlin has thrown 79 pitches and 54 of them have been strikes tonight. He has been almost as good as he was in New York, except they got him for a couple of solo homers in the first 2 innings tonight.
Well, he's given up 5 home runs, and I think they're all solo. So he challenges guys. You make a mistake, sometimes they're going to get you.
2-strike pitch. It was up, but it was fouled away.
Ooh.
Hey, I want to send out happy birthday wishes tonight to Don Abrahamowitz, celebrating his 69th birthday. He's watching a ball game at the house, so
Happy birthday, Don.
happy birthday, Don.
Hope all is well.
Ryan Braun singled in the first. And he hits one high in the air to right field. Look out. Chisenhall back at the wall, and it's gone. Ryan Braun with his 23rd home run of the year, a 2-run shot. 3rd home run allowed by Tomlin. And that gives the Brewers a little life. It's now a 9-4 ball game.
No, it shows you the strength of Ryan Braun. Going the opposite way, and I mean, it had some carry to it and hang time. His 23rd, it's upstairs. He got away with a breaking ball earlier. He fouled off. They wanted it up, but boy, he got on top of it, huh? They thought they'd be able to throw it. That was above the strike zone, so I give Braun credit. He stayed on it, and he hit it a long way the opposite way. So the 3rd home run given up by Josh Tomlin.
Rick, you think about the National League Central Division with Ryan Braun in Milwaukee. Now they've got Adam Lind, obviously. Chris Davis, he's been on a home run tear. We just saw the Cubs They've got some bashers with
Yeah,
Chris
they
Bryant,
sure do.
with Anthony Rizzo and company. Pittsburgh, of course, they got Pedro Alvarez, Andrew McCutchen, Marte. They got some guys who can do some damage.
Yes, they do. Cardinals.
And, of course, the Reds, some of it might be because of the ballpark they play in. They always seem to have some guys that can take you deep. That's a big boy division, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's a great division.
A 1-0 to Adam Lynn. Out of play.
You know, you talk about letting the ball get deep into the zone. Watch the swing that Braun has on this high fastball. Above the hitting area. He hit that ball. It was almost even with the plate.
And it was back.
That's what I mean. His bat was even with the plate, but he was able to get on top of it. Not many times can a guy be strong enough to get the top hand over, and it jumps. It was like that home run that was hit off Tomlin in Minnesota. If you remember the 0-2 pitch that was up and under the chin of Rosario, that he hit that ball onto the porch. Well, this was away, so he had to wait on it. A little different, but boy, oh boy, those 2 home runs were up.
6 strikeouts for Josh Tomlin. Yeah, if you're Josh Tomlin, you've got to rethink the letter high pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he went one in and one away. The left-hander hit the one up and in. The right-hander hits the one away.
Swung on and missed. Davis chased after a breaking ball in the dirt, and it's 0-2. Broken bat, foul ball. That one sounded different than the typical broken bat, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It almost sounded like it was hollow.
Listen to this again. Oh, maybe. Maybe not.
Well, he can't break it there, so it was just a weird sound.
Now that time Davis lays off the letter high fastball, and it's 2-2. Breaking ball, got him. 7 Ks for Josh Tomlin. Milwaukee has scored all 4 via the long ball, but the Indians lead at 9-4.
Time now for our T-Mobile Data Strong fan photo of the game. And don't forget, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STODataStrongFan for a chance to have one of your pictures shown during our telecast. It's all courtesy of T-Mobile. The Indians will go back to work on offense, and they'll face the third different Milwaukee pitcher of the night. And this is Cesar Jimenez.
Yeah, just his 5th appearance.
Josh Tomlin talking to Cody Anderson, who will make the start tomorrow in place of Carlos Carrasco. Michael Brantley shoots it in the left field for his second hit of the night. 11 hits for Cleveland, and as Rick told you earlier, or we tried to, we were kind of fumbling around with it, but it's 8 straight home games with 10 or more hits. First time the Indians have done that since 1999.
Yeah, that's good. That's something they've needed to do all along, and they're finally getting the hang of it here. They're generating a lot of offense at home. It's nice to see.
Carlos Santana, an RBI double in the first. He's flat out struck out since then.
On that road trip, Santana was able to hit his first home run from the right side of the plate in Yankee Stadium. That coming off a CC.
Let's go down to Andre.
You know, talking about that home run, I talked to Terry Francona before the game about it, and the one in Yankee Stadium. He says, look, he goes, that's the one thing I expect from Carlos Santana. That's why it's been disappointing with him this year. He goes, we expect him to hit like that with power from the right-hand side. He feels like his swing is more natural that way. The power is more natural that way. He said the one thing they liked about it was he had that great swing against CC in New York, and then he took it yesterday against Leicester and had some good swings from the right-handed side. He goes, but that's what they've been expecting all season long from Carlos on the right-handed side.
I agree. He put a nice swing on it too, you know, and he didn't. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a big swing. Take a look at his swing that he had Sunday. How nice and easy it was, and I mean the ball jumped. He let that ball get deep, and it doesn't look like you're trying to pull the ball.
No, he wasn't way out in front.
I know it. Like he can get. I mean, that swing gets so long sometimes from Santana, and they've said it all year long, and they've been saying it for years, but when he can keep it short and just get that barrel out of the bat to the baseball, it jumps off your bat. Same swing to that breaking ball as he takes on the fastball.
One down here in the 6th. And Lonnie Chisnall will go lefty-lefty here. Lonnie 1 for 3. Had the RBI single in the first.
Was that like a fork ball or
kind of turned it over, went the other way?
Ball? Yeah.
Up and away.
Cesar Jimenez keeping a close eye on Michael Brantley over at first. It's a 9-4 Cleveland lead. And Lonnie went chasing. Strikes him out. 2 down. We're right back at it tomorrow as this 2-game series will come to a close. Cody Anderson, Jimmy Nelson, the pitching matchup. Nelson's been pretty good of late. Alan Jensen will start our coverage with Indians Live at 6:30. First pitch at 7 right here on Sports Time Ohio. Nelson 7-1 in his last 11 starts. Runner goes. Strike called. Throw down. Not in time. Michael Brantley picks up his 14th stolen base on the year. He's only been caught 1 time.
Well, there's one there. You're not expecting him to run, and he just takes off. 5-run difference.
Lucroy, good throw, made it close. And the 0-1, way outside. He bluffed a move, and Brantley went diving back into the bag head first. Now the 1-1. Hit hard. Deep right. Santana moving over. Makes a running catch, basket style to end the inning. 6 complete. Cleveland 9, Milwaukee 4.
Back here, top of the 7th inning. Going to take a look back at our AT&T Yearverse Rewind. Josh Tomlin tonight, where he had 7 strikeouts, had a good curveball working. Boy, he was awfully tough against left-handed hitters. They were 0 for 10 against him. The right-handers did a little of the damage, but there you go. When he made his pitch, he had a lot of hitters out front. 7 strikeouts, no walks. Tomlin went his 6 innings and is going to turn it over to Ryan Webb. Coming on for the 32nd time, a record of 1-0, ERA of 2.40. Gannett, Santana, Segura, the scheduled hitters. Left-handers now hitting 119 there, 5 for 42 off Tomlin this year.
Ryan Webb will be facing 6, 7, and 8 in the Milwaukee lineup. Scooter Gennett, swing and a miss. "24 of 31 appearances this year for Ryan Webb have been scoreless."
Good sinker baller. Keeps it down. You'll see a lot of ground balls with Webb up there. Sinker, slider.
Worked a scoreless inning against the Yankees his last time out 3 days ago. Over his last 13 appearances, Webb has pitched 17 1/3 innings and has given up just 3 earned runs. Missed inside. The 2-2. You mentioned left-handers against Josh Tomlin, right?
Right.
Well, Ryan Webb, very similar. Maybe because of that good sinking action, they can't get the barrel to it.
That's what you see right there. They roll over on it instead of trying to stay on. If he keeps it down and away, it's a ground ball machine.
Yeah, left-handers are hitting almost 70 points lower than right-handers against Webb. Lefty's just 14 for 73 now on the year against this Indians right-hander. Domingo Santana homered back in the second inning. Grounded out his last time up. On a breaking ball, it's in there for a strike. Charging, Urshela quickly unloads and gets his man 2 down. There, that's a big league play by a guy who's starting to make that play look routine.
Well, he's been good defensively ever since he was called up. You see him playing back. He comes in, gets a good read on it, gets rid of it quickly, right on the money. He's got a very accurate arm from third base. You know, he looks very comfortable out there. We haven't seen a third baseman like him in a while.
And with 2 down, Gene Segura, the batter, takes a strike. Somewhere Casey Blake is cursing your name right now.
It's okay. We made Casey a good outfielder.
Right back to the mound. Webb throws him out. The Brewers go 1-2-3. Giovanni Urshela with some fancy D at third. Timed out for the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Spitzer Auto World.
9-4, Cleveland on top. Abraham Almonte, 1 for 3, tripled and scored in the 5th. Shoots one foul, right side. Cesar Jimenez pitched a scoreless 6th inning. Popped him up. Jeanette called for it, and the third baseman Herrera almost decapitated him.
Well, I could hear him calling for it up here. He said it more than once. He's had a rough day out there at second base. A couple of balls that were hit at him. I think one of them went off. And listen. I think that was him saying, got it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was him. And then, the third baseman comes in, Herrera, and usually the middle of the infielder, they'll take charge. I'll tell you, it's been a rough night for Milwaukee defensively. It has not been a good showing for them whatsoever.
Well, I wouldn't say. I was going to ask you, does this have anything to do with, changing players, taking a look at guys, lack of continuity? But this has been probably going on all year. This didn't just start happening when they made trades.
They've got to look and see what they have. You're right. It could be, guys playing different spots, but this is the big leagues, man. You've got to do it every day.
Lynn digs out a low throw, 2 down. Time for a Mazda game break once again. Here's Al Pawlowski.
Hey, man, Rick, let's go to Texas where the Rangers are taking on the Blue Jays. Jose Bautista launched his 30th home run of the season. This one a monster shot to left, but Texas has come back. It's now 5-4 Rangers over the Jays. They're in the 6th inning in Arlington, guys.
All right, thanks, Al.
It's a nice matchup there. It's a little test for the Rangers.
Speaking of tests, 1-0 pitch to Jose Ramirez. The Yankees are being tested tonight, and they're failing. Houston scored 5 in the first.
Right.
4 in the 5th, 6 in the 7th. They lead New York 15-0.
And how about yesterday? They get beat 1-0. Houston did.
Right back to him. Jimenez will flip it to first. Indians go 1-2-3. 7 in the books. 9-4 Indians.
Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
Stick around for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care, coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Alan Jensen will have the highlights. Elian Herrera, 0 for 2, has struck out twice to lead it off. And a line drive single into center field. Brewers get their leadoff man aboard here in the 8th.
Get your Yan Gomes jersey, courtesy of Sherwin-Williams. On Saturday, the Indians will take on the Angels. Post-game fireworks to follow that ball game. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Bouncer towards third. It's a fair ball. Urshela off balance. Throws Santana. He got the tag on him. Oh, my. What a terrific play by Giovanni Urshela and Carlos Santana.
Well, it was on the backhanded side. He had to get rid of it in a hurry. They may challenge this.
I'm not sure Santana ever tagged him.
They said a fair ball. Let's see. No, he never did. And if he gets the base, he's going to be called safe if they choose to challenge it. He did not. He walked back in the dugout. That surprises me there. That really surprises me they didn't challenge. It looks like, unless he had him on the hip there, I don't think so.
Take one more look here.
No, not even close. He tries to. Wow. The only thing I could say, if he hits the hip before he makes that tag there, and then the swipe he missed.
Boy, every time we look at a different angle, I see something different. I'm not sure. Maybe that's why Craig Counsell decided not to challenge.
It was still a terrific play. Let's look at it that way. But it's close enough, I would think you have to challenge it now. You're in the 8th inning. But he was called out, so they would have had to have enough evidence to overturn it.
Jonathan Lucroy has been a tough out for the Indians so far tonight. He homered in the first. He doubled and scored in the 6th. They retired him in the 3rd, but he hit a line drive that Giovanni Urshela snared at third base. So he's barreled it up all 3 times. Breaking ball drops in for a strike. High pop foul out of play. Now that turns out to be a big play in the inning too, because with Lucroy and then Braun.
Yeah, you have your big boys up. But to me, it would have been worth a risk.
If all of a sudden they got 2 on, nobody out,
right,
the game could get tight in a hurry.
Well, maybe they saw something we did not in their replay. There you go.
Just what we were talking about. Lucroy deposits one high and deep into the bleachers.
So no doubter there. You talk about a jolt.
Third hit of the night, second home run. And all of a sudden, it's a 3-run game as Milwaukee climbs to within 9-6.
Yeah, this is, you know what? He took a breaking ball earlier in that count and was upset at himself because he didn't swing at it. And then he comes back and he tried to throw him another one. And I'll tell you what, he was waiting for it. He had one earlier in the at-bat he didn't swing at for a strike, and he was upset at himself.
Well, now Brian Shaw is coming into the game with 1 out in the 8th inning. We've got a timeout. It's a 9-6 ball game. Returns this week with an East Coast rivalry as the New York Red Bulls take on DC United. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, sponsored by Audi. Brian Shaw coming on to pitch for the Tribe. Ryan Braun will be at the plate for Milwaukee. Every run Milwaukee has scored tonight has come via the home run. Solo homer by Lucroy, solo homer by Santana, 2-run shot by Braun, 2-run homer now by Lucroy. And now Braun, who is 2 for 3 on the night.
Well, that home run he hit was a fastball up and away that we showed it, stayed on it, drove it to right field.
Out of play, right side. No balls and 2 strikes. The count on Braun with 1 out here in the 8th. And a smash to left. Brantley comes in and makes the catch.
Almost handcuffed him.
That thing had some diving action to it.
Sure did. That ball was getting down. It was hit so hard. It was a line drive. It was either spinning or it was knuckling. But, boy, I'm going to tell you, he hung him a breaking ball, and Braun didn't miss it. He hit a liner right into the tracks of Brantley, and he was lucky to catch that ball.
Caught that in the pocket.
That's one as an outfielder. You're right. You just take a deep breath.
Almost in the heel.
Well, he'll take some abuse for it, but you know what? At least he caught it.
Outside, ball 1 to Adam Lind, who is 0 for 3 tonight. And a ground ball. Lindor charging with the shift on. Will flip it over. And the inning is over. Last half of the 8th coming up. 9-6 Cleveland. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Jason Kipnis leading off tonight out of DHing. 2 doubles, a single. He's walked, he's driven in 2, and he has scored 3. So he has truly been the igniter at the top of the lineup here this evening. And once again, Kipnis has a 3-hit game. '59th appearance of the year for left-hander Will Smith. After left-hander Cesar Jimenez went 2 innings, scoreless relief. It's the 17th time this year that Kipnis has had at least 3 hits in a ball game.
There you go. 17 times. Look at that. It's impressive.
Upstairs. Tied him up, full count. Now the payoff pitch. And a good breaking ball just locked him up.
Well, he came back from 3-0, and I don't think Kip was looking for that breaking ball. It was a good one. Well, fans can enjoy $2 beer pregame on Friday. The Indians will open up a weekend series against the Angels. It's $2 Miller Lite cans available from 5 to 7 out in the right field district. Go to Indians.com for your tickets.
That's called a low strike. Lindor, 2 more hits tonight. An RBI single in the second, a 2-run double in the fifth. And he lines one into left field. He's got a 3-hit ball game.
Boy, this kid's swinging the bat. He's swinging it very good. Both sides of the plate.
Our Pat O'Brien Chevrolet play of the game. Michael Brantley. His 10th home run of the year. Now has 70 RBIs. Here's another one. Deep right field. Back is Santana. Gone to Souvenir City. Michael Brantley with a 2-homer game as the Indians pull away and make it 11-6.
Well, Andre was talking earlier that he wants to play well against his former team, and I don't know how much better you can play than what he has tonight. Scored 3 runs, hit a pair of homers, had 4 ribbies, 3 hits. And boy, oh boy, he was sitting on that breaking ball and drives it deep into the night. Makes it an 11-6 ball game, and it answers that 2 spot they put on the board.
I wonder if that's a product of him watching the at-bat with Kip, seeing Kipnis get that breaking ball. And
Very
just,
well
he
could
might have
be.
just said, you know what, if he tries to flip me one of those, I'm going to sit on it.
Well, when this inning started, they had Cody Allen up. Now it's a 5-run game. We'll see if they can keep him up.
2 down. Just about everybody getting involved tonight. Urshela has scored a run. Ramirez has scored a couple. They don't have a hit down at the bottom, but everybody's had a hand in it one way or another here tonight. When the top 3 guys go 9 for 12, usually you're going to have a good night.
Good things happen. Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, it's been a very good night for those guys.
And there they are. There's the trio. Kipnis, Lindor, Brantley.
They're all arguing over something. Look, they're ganging up on them.
Jerry Sands getting an opportunity here. Swings and sends one to center field where Peterson makes the catch and ends the inning. Michael Brantley's second home run of the night has the Indians sitting pretty, 11-6.
The Brewers 11-6. How about the top three hitters in the batting order? Kipnis, Lindor, Brantley, 9 for 12 combined, 9 runs batted in.
End up finishing this one off. This will be the 5th Game 1 series win of their last 6. Something we haven't seen.
The only loss would be to the Chicago Cubs yesterday.
Crazy.
All right, coming up after the game, Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Make sure you join us for that. For now, let's go back upstairs to Matt and Rick.
Thanks, Al. And the Indians, for whatever reason, have sort of got that monkey off their back where they couldn't win a series opener for the longest time.
You know, you get on a roll, you do certain things, the game changes. Allen was up and getting loose when that inning started. Even though the Brantley home run took place, he's going to come on and pitch in today's game for the 54th time, although it is not a safe situation. He was warm, he was ready, and Tito says, let's go get him. Now, of course, you know, with the one more game against Milwaukee tomorrow before Thursday's an off day. So, but another big offensive night for the Indians. Great to see. 11 runs, 13 hits.
Chris Davis, Scooter Gennett, Domingo Santana due for Milwaukee. Davis almost chased after it, but held up. Oh, that one right back into the mask of home plate umpire Tim Timmons, who says, I'm all right. But, wow, I mean, that was a direct hit.
Well, he took that mask off in a hurry.
Oh, it wasn't a direct. It kind of get him on the side. I think that's why he said, I'm okay. It caught him on the side.
That's why he's talking out of the side of his mouth right now to Gomes.
It kind of caught that piece that sticks out of the side, and that's what flipped it around.
Holy smokes. That's scary looking, isn't it?
In and out of the glove of Gomes, 1-2.
I mean, the catchers appreciate it just as the umpires. They know what it's like to get hit like that, and they feel it. So the first thing they do is, hey, you okay? Do you need some time?
Breaking ball, got him.
Good one. He did get a piece of it.
One down in the ninth. Let's look back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Keep the Brew Crew in the park. Well, that didn't work out so well.
No, they gave up 4.
But hit with runners on base, you betcha. The Indians, this was all about sometimes you just have to outscore them, and that's what the Indians did tonight. And that's been a familiar formula for the Tribe here at home of late. You go back to the last homestand, they lost to the last game of that homestand to the Yankees 8-6, but hey, they scored 6 runs. They scored 5 against New York in that 16-inning win. They scored 8 or more in all 3 games against Minnesota, beating the Twins 8-1, 17-4. They lost to them 10-9. And you go all the way back to July 29th, the finale of that disastrous homestand. The only game the Indians won, they beat Kansas City 12-1. So since that game, for whatever reason, the offense has been much better here at home. And now Scooter Gennett finds himself in the hole. A ball and 2 strikes with 1 out in the 9th. Swung on and missed. He chased it in the dirt. Gomes applies the tag, 2 down. And it's going to bring up Domingo Santana. Santana homered in the 2nd inning, and he chases after a breaking ball. Strike 1.
Well,
these guys can't hold up on that
curveball,
can they?
Well, they see it, and he should stay right with it.
That curveball hung high. And the count 1-1.
Yeah, tried to throw that one maybe a little bit better than he did the one before. Didn't have the bite to it.
Now the 1-1 offering. Fastball up and away. Swung on and missed, and the count 2-2. $11,687 here tonight. And the 2-2 pitch is strike 3 called. This game is over. Cody Allen strikes out the side of the 9th to put an exclamation point on a series-opening 11-6 win over the Milwaukee Brewers. Josh Tomlin the win. He's 2-1. The loss to Willie Peralta, he's 4-8. Tribe has now won 5 of their last 6 here at Progressive Field, while Milwaukee has dropped 10 of their last 12 on the road. Again, the story tonight, as well as Josh Tomlin, pitched, he did give up 3 home runs, and certainly at times that can be problematic. But the story tonight really overall was how well the Indians continue to swing the bats here at home.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. You look at they scored in 5 of the innings all the time. It was double, it was crooked numbers. 4 times they scored 2. 1 time they put 3 on the board. So a lot of crooked numbers. Good things happen. Offense continues in this ballpark.
Tribe a winner, 11-6. Back with some final thoughts right after this.